Hello everyone, and welcome back to Homestuck tier lists. Today, it's the Flashes tier list, or at least the major Flashes. I hope you didn't think I was going to do, like, all of them, because that would be a little insane. There's, like, I don't even know how many there are. Like, almost 200, probably. If you include, like, every S page, that would be insane. So we're just going for the major ones, but that's fine because those are the only ones I have a lot to say about them anyway. And my metric, fairly simple, alright? Are they engaging or not? Now, what does that mean? Well, okay, that factors in the music, the visuals, the story, and sometimes I will take into account the overall context, you know? Like, obviously, something like, say, this finale Flash. If it wasn't the finale, it'd be extremely boring, right? This is like an epilogue. We're just, like, seeing screenshots. Ugh, whatever. But, obviously, that's not the whole story, right? So, yeah. I am going to be watching them on my own. But I will try to announce the name of them, or at least describe them a little bit. And I'm using this video by Bambosh, which is all the Flashes, and they're all here. So yeah, that's the plan. I hope you will enjoy. And without further ado, I'm going to watch Flash number 1, which is just called... Boy, I sure wish I could see it. I think... What is it called? Forward arrow? Yeah. This is it. So at Act 1, number 59 seconds. That's what we're going to watch. Okay, so that was pretty, you know, it's short, kind of sweet. I don't think I need an F tier. And I don't know, didn't care, I don't think really matters either. It's an introduction, obviously, to what a Flash is, basically, for Homestuck before we get to the first actual big one. It's pretty well done for being this early in the comic, honestly, in terms of, like, art style and stuff. It's still a little janky. Like, you can see the difference between this John versus the John at the end, right? Or even, like, this Terezi. Looks a little awkward. But, you know, that's par for the course. I think it's the best example, probably C tier, honestly. I was going to say B tier. Probably C tier just because it's very short and not much is really going on. We just look at the sky and it's like, this is the title drop for Homestuck, essentially. Which is cool, but, you know, it's nothing crazy. I do think it's funny with the context of the full comic now that this is so focused on wind chimes, considering, you know, John is the heir of breath. Maybe that was already planned out at that point. I'm sure it was. But, yeah. So next is Take a Bite of the Apple. This one is probably the first I would consider major. So I'm going to watch that now, and we'll be back in a second. Okay. That is what I could consider Homestuck's hook, right? Where you've gone through, you've sort of met the characters, you've sort of interacted with the world and the captcha-logging garbage, and now you have this moment where John is essentially exploded, but not really. It seems like maybe he was, because how would taking a bite of an apple save him from a meteor? Who knows? The music is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's, like, crazy. Obviously, the previous one had no music. It was just wind chimes, but that kind of set the vibe, you know? This one, it's frantic. It's got some recognizable melody, but not too crazy. It's probably a B. Again, I think it's well done for being so early in the comic. But, yeah, there'll be much better coming later. Alright, next is Send Your Men to Victory, Mr. Mayor. Okay, where's that? Lead Your Men to Victory, WV 1301. Alright. Alright, so it's just Mr. Mayor fucking around, basically. But, you know, it's funny. I think this is the first time we have the poorly drawn like interstitial thing where Mr. Mayor is leading those cans. And that's like a classic of Homestuck from here on out. But it is D tier. Certainly. Again, everything is relative here. I mean, we're going to get to some crazy stuff later, but you know. I mean, come on. Actually, this one might be my favorite that features Mr. Mayor. So, this is WV Ascend. All right. So, that was great. Honestly, I can't ask for much more in a Homestuck Flash. I will say I'm going to rank between tiers at the very end. So if you're like, really, that's an S tier? What about blah, 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 blah? We'll get there. It'll probably be the bottom of S. But still, this is literally everything I want from a Homestuck Flash. It touches on all the major players at the moment, other than John, arguably, I guess. But we like just left him, I'm pretty sure, to do this whole Mr. Mayor segment, so it feels pretty fine. And Dave is way more mysterious, and what's going on with Rose is way more pressing at the moment, so it feels natural, right? And then WV, who isn't that interesting of a character, gets to be the vessel through which we see all this exposition about the world. And the music, I mean, come on. This is one of the songs that when I think about early Homestuck is one of the songs I think of, even more than like Suburban Jungle, which is definitely more iconic. Just for me, this is one of the songs I think of because I had to watch this Flash like 3 times to understand what the hell is going on. And I kind of like that because that's kind of what early Homestuck was about. It was like cryptic world building craziness that you had to kind of get into in order to understand, you know what I mean? You couldn't just look at it and be like, okay, this is what's going on. You had to kind of like parse every little bit out and probably have it explained to you a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of the Act 1, well, it's Act 2 technically, but you know what I mean? The early Homestuck Flash for me. Next we have, what is this? Midnight Crew Act something. Hold on, let's see. Ooh, is that here? Ooh, I'm not sure that is here. I mean, is it? It's just Midnight Crew Act 1031. That's what we're doing. Okay. So I'm going to watch that and be right back. Okay, so that was basically just an introduction to the Midnight Crew, which is, like, relevant, but not the most important thing. And I guess the Felt too, who are also relevant, but not the most important thing. I think that's another solid C tier. Is it better or worse than the... I do think it's worse than the original introduction for Homestuck. It does have its own vibe, but I think the title drop is a little bit more significant in terms of, like, setting the tone for Homestuck. I mean, that's kind of, I guess, intentional, because obviously this Midnight Crew interstitial is supposed to be different from everything else that's around it. That's kind of the point. So, I don't know. I just don't quite like it as much, personally. They're both intros, and they're both, like, I mean, this one's way shorter, but they're both relatively short, so it feels right they'd be in the same area, and I'm just personally more partial to the atmosphere of the title drop. So, yeah. This next one is Jade Descend, I think. Jade Descend, okay. This is Act 3. Well, the other one was also Act 3, but you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm not really sure why that one was included here. I mean, it's better than... Well, actually, I like Cantown better, honestly. It's just John doing a little bit of goofy fighting. I wouldn't call that significant in any way. And I like the version later where he actually gets help from Nana and they beat these guys up way better. So this is just a worse version of that, essentially. It's like the setup to the punchline, but we don't have the punchline. So sad. A corral for Jaspers. It's time. Well, that's what the song's called. What's it actually? Wait, I thought I'd be able to find it easily. Oh, is it Rose fast forward to now? Is it? Yes, it is. Okay. So I'm going to watch this. All right. Also not super significant in terms of the plot or anything. It's basically our introduction to Jaspers. But also, I do think it has some interesting things to say about Rose. In terms of, like, why she might seem so detached to things all the time and all that kind of stuff. That said, it's probably C tier. But I do think it's above the intro, for sure. The song is good, okay? Maybe it's not, like, jamming or anything. It's not like it's something I'd listen to. But it is a comedic song that works very well and fits the mood of the whole scene. Especially considering the resolution of this is that she accidentally dropped Jasper's stuffed corpse onto a transportalizer, and now it's in her living room. Like, yeah, it's pretty well done. Next up is Dave Strife versus Bro. So we all know how this is gonna go. I should be clear, since how there's multiple versions of Dave Strife, obviously, that it's the one at 30 minutes in this video. So it's the second one, I do believe. Poor Dave. Look at what happened to him. It's just a fight scene between Dave and Bro, but that is fairly important, you know? And it's definitely well done. In terms of the fight scenes, especially early on like this, I think it's pretty well done in conveying action and, you know, who has the upper hand and all of that. I think I'm going to put it in A tier. Plus the music, I mean, come on. I should also mention this is the final battle, so I think I said it was the second one. I do believe that makes it the third battle between Bro and Dave. But I think it's the second one called Strife. So, I don't know. Next up, Jade, Pester John. This is the one where I do believe Jade gets clobbered by Prosbit. Let's see. Where are we? Yep, right here. Okay, well, you know. Okay, I was very wrong. It's still too early for that. This was, in fact, the one where we kind of get what Prospit is explained, almost. You know what I mean? Jade wakes up in her room there, and we get the flashbacks to a bunch of conversations we had with her, except through the lens of what was actually happening on her end, which was she was dreaming, and then the Becquerel meteorite and all that stuff. The music, very good. The visuals, there's some funky drawings of Jade in there, but mostly good. I think it's B. I think it's better than Take a Bite of the Apple. I think Take a Bite of the Apple has better pacing, let's say, but I think this one is better in totality. I will say that. This is Enter. Okay, I think, is this the one where she gets clobbered by a meteor? It's like, no, this is the one where Rose jumps off a building. Okay. Well, can I just say, that was excellent. There's a second one where it's like, now this is Homestuck. Oh, man. I honestly forgot how good that one was. I mean, I remembered, obviously, the iconic moment of Rose jumping off the building to catch the bottle. But the rest of it is pretty good, too. There's a lot of standout moments. Obviously, Suburban Jungle is a good song. And there's even, like, okay, there's that moment where Rose is looking down and there's raindrops falling into a puddle that's reflecting the fire in the sky. And it's like lava falling from the sky. It's very cool, all right? Probably one of the coolest visuals. Definitely so far, but in the comic in general. Yeah, it's excellent, okay? It's not going to stay at the top of the list forever, but it is excellent. Next, we have Dave Accelerate. I do believe that's what that says. Yep, there it is. Act 4. All right. Okay, so that flash is basically just Dave being cool. Should I put it with the other one? No, I think it goes in here. Technically, this is Dave's sprite, if you really want to get pedantic about it. I think the reveal of Cal sprite, even though it's going to get, like, basically retconned away in a few pages, is something that contributes to this being memorable. Because when you see that, you're like, God, no, anything but that. And thankfully, it is anything but that. Can you imagine what would have happened in the story if Cal sprite continued being a thing? Because that's basically Lord English. Anyway. It's just Dave being cool with a cool song playing. So, yeah. that's my thoughts. Oh, next is Jack. Is it... It looks like ascend. I thought it was descend. Hold on. We'll see. It is Jack ascend. Oh, this... Okay, this is the one where he puts on the ring. Right. That's why it's called ascend. Alright. This might just be a little bit of bias, because this is my favorite song in all of Homestuck, probably. But, I mean, come on, right? Right? Come on. In terms of what's happening, I mean, Jack is basically taking over as the main villain. And we have just a little bit of, like, the parents fighting monsters, just to throw it in there, you know, why not? It's already cool enough, but, you know, here's some extra little tidbits for you. Yeah, it's good. And it builds up the mystery of what the hell was in this box that Jade sent to John as well. That could just exterminate the Black Queen and turn her into, like, goop. Is the music carrying a little bit here? Maybe. Am I embarrassed about that? No. Next is WV Rise Up. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. God dang it, I made that joke and then nothing actually did go wrong in this flash. Just so you know, he kills them all. Oh wait, that's coming up next. Okay, never mind. Spoilers. I hope you watched all of Homestuck at this, or read, or watched, either way, all of Homestuck at this point, because if not, Anyway, it's cool backstory for WV, or, you know, Mr. Mayor, as I call him. And the music is surprisingly good. I didn't remember it being this good, to be honest. We get to see Jack kill the Black King, I guess. That's something. And also Mail Lady grab some stuff, but that's not super exciting. I think it's the King of the Sea Tears. Which kind of fits, you know, because Mr. Mayor is the Carapations, and they're all, like, C-tier characters in and of themselves anyway. So he's, like, the King of the Sea Tears. I really wish there was more about this. That would have been really kind of interesting. And it would especially make the ending of them getting, like, their own city in the new universe. The new universe. When I say the new universe, I'm usually referring to the Alpha universe. So let's just go new at the very end of the game. Sure. It would make it have a lot more meaning if they actually did, like, stand up to the royalty and, like, you know, create their own society almost, even if Jack did destroy it pretty quickly after it started. With Mr. Mayor as the mayor, you know? It could be interesting. But alas, 'twas not to be. Next is the most important flash in Homestuck, okay? John, reunite with your loving wife and daughter. If this wasn't in there, I would have rioted. I really hope you went and watched that one, okay? I really hope you did. Because it's going to justify my decision to put it in A tier. I think Homestuck would be demonstrably worse if we didn't have stuff like this in it, okay? If it took itself seriously, it would suck ass. Because it's so out there in concept that a thin veneer of comedy really makes the emotional moments, you know, hit harder. And especially considering all of these people in this flash are going to be very important to John for various reasons. Yeah, it does hit a little bit emotionally still anyway. And it has Karkat and Terezi's reactions, which I think make it kind of. Also that, and the guitar solo being not an actual guitar, instead just somebody going, yeah. It's, I think, the perfect apex of one of Homestuck's running gags. Some of them get dragged into the ground. This one, this is perfect, alright? Next is Jack Descend. I'm sure nothing bad will happen to Mr. Mayor. Yeah, okay. I hate to say it, but we got another S tier. I don't think it's... I guess. Oh, it's tough between Ascend and Descend. I think Descend has higher highs, while Ascend has like a consistent goodness to it. But I mean, come on. There's stuff in Descend which is crazy. I don't like the song as much. It's still good though. And then we have basically little shots of everybody doing something, like Rose breaking her gate and Dave going into a gate, I guess. And then the final, well, obviously this is the one where Jade gets clobbered by a meteor. And by a meteor I mean Prospit, because we ended off with a meteor hovering over Jade's island, probably so close it would be incinerating her anyway. But you know, it's Homestuck logic. And also I guess the reckoning is happening at this point, so all the babies are being sent through the portals. That's not super exciting, but it is happening. Yeah, there are a couple things, like, why did Jack spare WV? I don't think we ever find that out. My only thought would be that, like, he respects WV for leading a rebellion against the king, so that's why he doesn't kill him, or he wants WV to spread fear. But at this point, Jack is already basically just a killing machine, you know? Like, I don't think he's necessarily thinking too much, so it is a little odd. And I feel like some of those later points, like I was saying, Rose destroying her gate, isn't super clear. But I mean, I put it at the top of literally the peak of the tier list. So obviously it's good. I'm just, you know, I'm couching it a little bit because it's not going to stay at the top of the tier list, for sure. Oh man, we have another good one coming up with Make Her Pay. Okay, so this is like literally the most important flash to understanding like 50% of the trolls dynamics. So that's cool. I think I'm putting it at the top of A tier though. It could go in S, but I think the thing keeping it out of S is that it really feels like it is rushing to cover ground that would have been covered otherwise. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just my own personal bias about this part of the comic. But this is the first flash, major flash anyway, that we got for like a long span of time where we were meeting all the trolls and blah, 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 blah. So it did hit pretty hard. And I think the music is like crazy. Also, Vriska does like the Mega Man slide. Woo! But talking about things that kind of come out of nowhere, I'm still not really sure why Aradia went back in time just to beat her ass at this point. Like, did she deserve it? Yeah, sure. And I guess it's for like screwing everything up later. But it comes out of nowhere, right? Which, I mean, I guess it's time travel, so who would have thought? But there is, like, minorly something a little bit awkward about that, I would say. Also, Tavros just kind of watches it happen. And we have these little cut-ins of everybody fighting, which is nice, except some people don't, which is weird. They just kind of, like, stand there. Like, okay, we had time for, like, Gamzee to hit something with his, like, juggling batons, but we didn't have time for Kanaya to rev up her chainsaw at all. Okay, sure, whatever. She just changes clothes. Cool. Yeah, so there's a few inconsistencies, and I'm maybe just a little bitter about this time period in the comic, but it is very cool and well done, so that feels about right. Next is Act 5, Act 2. Start? Is that just what it is? Act 5, Act 2? Yep, it's just called Act 5, Act 2. Okay, well. Finally. One I don't have to put in, like, high tiers. I think this is like a maybe low B, like lowest B. It's basically trying to recapture the feeling of, like, I think the title drop, personally. Of, you know, this is John, and we're, like, going back in time and sort of viewing his life through Karkat's eyes, and then it ends with Karkat being all spadesy towards them, except that never goes anywhere. So, who cares? And then, you know, I mean, we get to see Nana crushed by a book. That's, like, probably the most interesting thing that happens, I guess. The music is good, though, even though it feels a little bit funny to have it playing over this specifically. But, you know, it's fine. Oh, God. Is Jade Wake Up the one with the flashing lights and the just, like, horrible visuals as they go into the dream bubbles for the first time? I think it is. So, be warned. Okay, where are we? Jade Wake Up. I think that's what this one is. It is. Okay. Just so I know, to tell you, this one's horrible. If you're going to skip any one, skip this one. All right. So basically this is Jade having a horrifying nightmare about Tangle buddies who are in reality the horror terrors. Or at least it's implied, right? And that's like the coolest thing that this gives us. I think other than that, it's just trippy visuals, which... yeah, I guess I'm going to have to put it at the bottom of the list. I mean, it is interesting, okay? I don't think it's necessarily bad. Like, I don't think it's badly made or a bad idea. It's just, like, in terms of the criteria I've been using to rank these, like, story relevance, kind of, I guess. Music, no, it hurts. Visuals, they hurt as well. Like, it's intentionally like this, so it feels a little weird to put it at the bottom, but it is at the bottom. Oh, but we won't be there for long. Good lord. Jade Enter, my personal favorite Flash. Warning, I guess. Okay, you just watched it. Now, can I make my case for why this is top tier? All right. It's got that same moment, okay? And it's the reason I like Descend so much. It's got that moment of anticipation where you realize what's about to happen and you're like, no, and then it happens. In Descend, it's you see the shadow of Jack over Jade's face as she's looking up to Prospect. You're like, no way, right? And then he destroys the whole thing and kills her, basically. And in Ascend, very similarly, you have that moment where Jack, it looks like the Queen's about to kill him, and then he reaches into the package. You're like, no, right? And then he, you know, vaporizes her, basically, with Liv Tyler. This one has that moment, but it's so much more visceral, I guess, because it kind of like puts together everything in your brain when you realize that Becquerel is going to prototype himself and basically ruin everything in order to save Jade. Also, that ending moment that used to kind of confuse me, I think, when I watched it through the first time, where it's like, what is Jade doing? She's just like falling through snow. Given that we just zoomed in on Bec Noir's head and what I know now about Bec Noir and the fact that fusing with Bec gave Jack some sort of protective feeling for Jade, I think it's interesting that we zoom in on Bec Noir and we see Jade like falling and disappearing. You know what I mean? Like, Becquerel's memories are getting kind of like blocked out for a time. It's interesting. Also, during this flash, we just have like a bunch of other stuff going on, like Bro and Dave Sprite fighting Jack, and then obviously as soon as Jack gets Bec's powers, losing. I mean, it's the instant sort of like you have that realization of, oh no. And then it's the thing that really goes like, yeah, this is bad. When you see Bro lose, essentially. He's like won everything so far. It's like Worfing, which if you don't know what I mean by that, in Star Trek, The Next Generation, I think, specifically. There's a character named Worf who's like part of the big muscular battle race of aliens, right? And routinely, in order to establish the threat of the episode, Worf will get like beaten by the threat. For Bro to get beaten by Jack in this moment, it establishes Jack as a really big threat, right? And I mean the music, come on, the music. And the action is conveyed so well too, with the slow motion shot of the bullet coming out of Jade's gun as it launches and Becquerel teleports it. I love it, okay? And I know it's controversial, but I think I might like it more than Cascade, which is crazy to say, but it's true. But we'll get there. Maybe I'll change my mind. All right, I'm back. If you're not a member, then you won't have heard yet, but I've had some problem with this video, okay? My computer crashed, and I lost some footage. That's the bad news. So you've missed out on, specifically, I think, really just John Rise Up, and then everything I had to say about Wake, aka Megalovania. So, I'll just briefly go over basically my points. Wake is cool. The music is crazy good. I think the visuals are pretty good too, in terms of everybody reacting to John God-tiering, including WV, in 2 different time periods, which is kind of cool. But it is a relatively simple concept. Like, there's really not a lot happening, which it doesn't feel like that, let's be fair. That's why it's an S tier. Like, it feels like there's a lot happening, but really all we're watching happening is John's body on a bed kind of like move a little bit. You know, like there's a lot of flashy lights surrounding it, but really that's all it is. So I put it in S, but low S. I think Ascend has to go down to top of A. That was something I was toying with before the computer crashed. I think that makes the most sense. I mean, compared to these 5, there's a clear difference, right? I love Ascend in terms of the music and like how it sort of like ties everything together, but you know. And then Wake, honestly, I mean, it's Megalovania, and it's, I think, my favorite version of Megalovania we've got so far, which is saying a lot. But I think it's A tier, and personally, I mean, I'd probably put it over Reunite with Your Loving Wife and Daughter. I feel like on a first viewing, this is like super crazy amazing. But coming back to it, the events of Wake basically don't matter at all. Like, nothing about this makes any lasting impact. Sure, Tavros gets killed, but like right after this, 6 other people are gonna die or whatever, which are, you know, more important than he is. And he's not even like gone for long because of the dream bubbles. Sure, we see Jack blow up Durst and Prospit, but in the grand scheme of Homestuck, that happens a lot. Like, we've already seen like the beta kids Prospit fall to Earth, and it killed Jade straight up. Like, it killed Jade's dream self anyway. And like, yeah, we see Jack kill Theferi and Nepeta, and by extension, like everybody else with the explosion, basically. But really, the only part that really sticks out to me here, well, there's 2, okay? There's the Aradia randomly coming back to life, which doesn't really make any sense at the time. It's just something you have to take as something that's happening. And then Karkat's reaction to Jack betraying them, which is like the best part. Which is kind of sad, considering this is like an action flash, you know? I still think it's good, obviously. I put it near the top of the list. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed coming back to it, honestly. So, in order to prevent another crash from happening, what I've done is I'm now watching the videos on my phone. So, you're not going to be able to see the timestamp on my screen like you were before. So, I'll just verbally say it. So, next is all something. Behold the something of Zillyhoo, right? Is that what it is? Where are we? Where are we? I can't find this one. There it is. Okay. All behold the glory of Zillyhoo. An hour, 24 minutes exactly. Wow, that's crazy. Look, okay, I'm going to have to be honest here. Is this a moment anyone remembers? Like, sure, it's a meme, but like the Zillyhoo hammer stuff doesn't even really become a big thing. Like, it's definitely worse than Cantown. I honestly feel bad for Cantown even being here, because at least that's a running joke that, like, goes throughout the rest of the comic. I feel like I have to bump Cantown up. So, yeah, there we go. What the hell is this? I'm trying to read it. It's very small. Is it just exit? Is that what it is? Doesn't seem like it. Is it flip? No, I don't think so. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's when they're fighting Jack. Okay, okay. That should be easy to find, possibly. I just don't know which one that is. Well, it's not Cascade, I'll tell you that much. Is it just an arrow? Is that why? Yeah, okay, it's just an arrow. That's why I can't figure out what the hell it is. 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 8 seconds in the video. Okay, here we go. Well, we're on a losing streak, folks. Yeah, honestly, this one's very disappointing for me in a lot of ways. Obviously, okay, the subversion of Jack instantly killing John. Sure, I mean, that kind of makes sense. He's really not fought any real foes at this point, just like imps and stuff. But then we get like Rose, and we don't even really get to see her reaction to John dying, presumably. Like, she screams at Jack, but she doesn't like react to John dying specifically. And then we just zoom out of the battle. So we don't even get to see Rose fight Jack. Yikes. Feels bad, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it. Sorry. Next up, Seer Ascend. Let's see where that is in the playlist here. Oh, that's 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 59 seconds. Right on the edge of the minute there. Alright, so this is basically a parody of Dave's scene from earlier. Where he ascended up to fight Bro. Except we don't actually get to see the fight in this version, which actually probably happened in the Dave version as well. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was probably a separate flash. But what we do get to see is a bunch of ancestor stuff, which won't matter later. It's fine. It's definitely cool. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the ancestor story is pretty well told, in all honesty. It's just that it doesn't really matter at all after a certain point. This is like the very apex of its relevance. After Terezi kills Vriska, it's basically irrelevant forever for the rest of the time. Even when the alphas show up, it's like just kind of a passing thing to be like, oh, yeah, your other version did this cool thing. Isn't that awesome? You know? Anyway, there's some cool stuff to this. It's like C tier though. It's probably around Jasper's tier. I feel like this makes the most sense right above Jasper's. Because Jasper's has some character digging in for Rose, but it's really not that serious. Whereas WV Rise Up, it's basically WV's only really big character moment. So that feels like pretty good to sandwich it between them. Next is Flip. I know what this is. We're going to stab a Vriska and make the biggest mistake in the whole comic. In my opinion. Anyway, where is it on the list here? Excuse me? Nope. I accidentally scrolled to Act 6. No wonder I couldn't find it. Flip. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 48 seconds in the video. Okay. Here we go. Can I admit something? I don't remember why this is all glitchy. I think it's something like you had to put the second disc in or something, and Doc Scratch was like, ooh, blah, 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 blah. It's something like that. Anyway, this could be cool. there's some cool shots in here for sure, with like the mind symbol appearing behind Terezi and the light symbol appearing behind Vriska. It's essentially just like a visual novel-esque conversation between the two of them, where they've got like sprites and it flips between each of theirs. I'm not a particular fan of the weird way they drew Vriska in this one either. She looks odd. That's all I could say. I mean, I think as a video, it's already like a B. And in the context of the scene, it's like a C. It's probably better than this one, but yeah. Whose idea was it necessarily for Terezi to be bad at investigating, if that was like her thing? Because I forgot that she goes up to the rooftop thinking Vriska killed everyone, including Gamzee. Even though Gamzee literally wrote the note in the previous flash, and she has to know that because she can differentiate the blood colors, and it's written in his blood. Like, I think what happens is she assumes that Vriska wrote it in Gamzee's blood, but I don't know. Anyway, that aside, it's just a couple cool visuals, and the rest of it is just like glitchy garbage and some okay dialogue that could have been like pages and it would have been fine, you know? I feel like the only reason this was turned into a whole flash is because of the glitchy effect and wanting it to be there and be cool. So, yeah. What the hell is this? Attempt, blah, 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 blah. This would have to be attempt rare and highly dangerous 5-time showdown combo. Oh, I actually like this one. 1 hour, 34 minutes, 5 seconds. All right, let's watch. Okay, it turns out this wasn't the one I was thinking of, where Kanaya chainsaws Eridan in half. Turns out that was way earlier. That actually does make sense in the timeline, now that I actually give that any thought. I still think this one's pretty good, though. Especially because we didn't get the moment where Karkat just shooshes Gamzee, and for some reason that solves all of their problems. Which is a moment I've complained about a lot when it comes to Gamzee just randomly being around for the rest of the comic while doing nothing. Because, like, clearly he should have died here, right? Even if he, like, got sent into, like, a portal or something that took him to Caliborn's land, sure. But he shouldn't have just, like, hung around. I don't know. It feels like he really needed some comeuppance, and unfortunately he got none. Anyway, what I want to say is the visuals in this are good. They're really good. And the song and the way it's used, where it's constantly accelerating, and there's even some, like, parts of the flash that are synced specifically to, like, the flourishes in the music. Very good. The ancestors appearing behind them when they're all on this tower and it's spinning around. Wow. Stunning, honestly. The actual content of the flash is basically non-existent, but it's really flashy. So I'll put it in B tier. Above Nana getting splatted, above the meteor thing. I feel like it's like on the level of Pester John. But I guess Pester John tells us a bit more about the story, so I'll put it there. That feels right to me. Okay, next is Cascade, and I'm not even going to pretend I need to watch this again. It's vying for the top spot, right? I think this is probably the universally agreed best Flash in Homestuck. Like, you can have your favorites, for sure. Like, personally, Jade Enter is my favorite. But I mean, come on, it's Cascade. Everything about this is insane. The way the screen expands, Jade getting god-tiered, just like the music. Even if it was just the music, it would probably be S tier. Yeah, and then everything coming together, right? I guess Rose and Dave also god tier in this song, or this Flash, but it's a little less significant. They create the green sun. There's like the pranked or whatever thing with Gamzee, and I think Doc Scratch even bursts into Lord English during this as well. So, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And yeah, this feels the most like a finale of anything in the comic, which, you know, given it's halfway through, maybe not the best thing ever, but it's true. All right. Next, we have Begin Intermission 3, which is in Act 6 now, because obviously Cascade... oh, is that Begin Intermission 2? It looks like a 3 to me, but it might be 2. Hold on, let's just check. This is like right after Cascade, so I'm assuming it's 2. Yes, okay. Begin Intermission 2, which is at 1 hour, 49 minutes, 59 seconds in the video. If you just watch Cascade, just press the play button again. Okay, I was wrong. This is where Lord English bursts out of Doc Scratch. Not the... not in Cascade. Not that it knocks Cascade down any. It's just a boon for this. Is this good? Yes. I would say yes. As a villain introduction, this is really all you can ask for. The crazy music. There's even a throwback to the joke with the wolf thing on the wall. Kind of it overstays its welcome a little bit. But yeah, I think this is a great villain introduction in terms of establishing, like, ooh, this guy's scary. Yeah, Where does that end up, though? I think it's, like, here. That's what feels right to me. Like, Make Her Pay is a lot more satisfying because we actually have, you know, stakes with the characters. Whereas, like, Wake is very extra personal. It's like one of those sort of universal things where we have to, like, understand this is what happened in the universe. Again, characters die in this Flash. But, just the most irrelevant ones on screen. Like, sorry, Fefri and Nebita, but it's true. And some stuff goes unexplained, etc., etc. I already explained that. This is also like a cosmic, universal scale thing. Like, we don't really have any connection to Lord English at this point. But it's way more important, I would say. And I feel like it's done more well in terms of pacing. Let's just put it that way. So that feels like the right spot for me. Act 6 is next on the docket. You'd think this would be one I would remember. Like, we'd get to that point eventually, but honestly, this was almost as long ago as, like... this is as long ago to me after finishing the comic as, like... I don't know... Dave Strife is to Cascade, you know? Yeah. Anyway. Act 6, 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 54 seconds in the video. Let's see. Alright. The music, again, on point. Alright. Evoking the original intro. We see all these, like, very familiar scenes. It's like, yep, we're going back. I wonder how people felt about this before everything else. You know what I mean? Like, when none of that existed. And they just had to sit with this for a bit. I wonder how they felt about, like, I wonder what Jane's future will be. I wonder what, you know, all these other characters who we don't explicitly see, but we see stuff about them, are going to be like. Because I think the first time I watched it, I had to, like, I guess they would have a feeling as well that it's like, okay, it's going to be Dave's bro, and it's going to be Rose's mom, and it's going to be Jade's grandpa. So, you know, you can probably, like, connect the dots a bit. Okay, the guns, that's Jade's grandpa. And, you know, all the sciencey stuff. Okay, that's Rose's mom. With those, like, portable power stations or whatever. And then the Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff billboard. Yup. That's bro, alright. That's bro's area anyway. Because I don't know. Coming back to it, I just feel a little sad, honestly. And I feel bad about that, because, like, that's not really what... It's not the Flash's fault that I'm disappointed by, you know, the trajectory of Jane and Jake. Who get, like, a lot of emphasis on this, because we're literally about to start meeting them, specifically, in these next few seconds. I think, musically and visually, it's a good way to set us up in the new universe. I think the only problem is expectation, probably. Where, like, everything seems a little too similar, almost, you know what I mean? Also, does this specifically lie to you, kind of? I mean, I guess we're seeing these things during the time period of Jane and Jake being alive, not Roxy and Dirk in the future. But, like, we zoom into, like, Dave's apartment with the Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff thing. And it's like, I get it's, like, intentionally misleading that they're all in the same time period. Because, obviously, if we were actually zipping to Dirk or Roxy's houses, they would be submerged in water, basically. So, I guess that means Rose was working with the tech, like... I guess she would have had to have been working with the tech long before Roxy came into the world, because Dave and Rose left little bunkers for the kids to, you know, get to. I think it's good. And it's definitely way more fleshed out than the original intro, obviously. I think it goes, like, here for me. I think that makes the most sense to me. I feel like Take a Bite of the Apple does a way better job at, like, being storytelling. This is all anticipation, right? And that's its role, okay? But that also does detract from it a little bit, I would say. In terms of just, like, my ranking of things and the way I've been ranking things. Alright, next is end of Act 6, intermission 1, I think, probably. That's what that's supposed to say. Let's see here. It jumps me back to the top every time I... Yeah, end of Act 6, intermission 1. An hour, 58 minutes, and 11 seconds into the video. Let's see. Okay, so this is basically just like a framing device sort of thing to view a bunch of scenes that are happening. It's fine. The music is crazy. And honestly, it's kind of like a visualizer for the song for part of it. And that's honestly my favorite part. All the actual events and the story happening, I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. Remember when Roxy broke the cat out of an ice block? Yeah, I guess that happened. Sure. Remember when Dave fought some robots? Yeah, I remember that, I think. But, like, the actual, like, visuals of the Flash combined with the song are very nice, and honestly that's what's carrying it. Up to, like, top of B, I think. Kind of crazy. But Dave Accelerate was also kind of just carried by a cool song with cool visuals, and I think this is a cooler song with cooler visuals, so what can I say? Okay, next is Roxy Sleepwalk, which I think might just be the next one in the playlist, honestly. Let's see. Okay, it's not quite the next one. It's literally 10 seconds of something else than the next one. But whatever. 2 hours, 1 minute, 43 seconds. Roxy Sleepwalk. Alright, once again, the music carries, okay? Basically, Roxy goes through the dream bubbles and we see a bunch of doomed people. And it's like, look what could have been. Yeah, it's a little sad. That Equius and the two Aradia boss actually comes back later. I didn't even recognize it was the same people. With, like, the big army. I'm pretty sure that is there. Or at least at some point. Maybe Vriska's pirate crew? I don't remember. But they come back, because I remember that, and I don't remember it being in this this Flash being where I first saw it. It's fine. It's like... here, probably. This is from #1 Roxy fan, okay? It's just like, yeah, it's something happening, you know? Things are kind of happening. Plot, not really, but things, definitely. Alright, speaking of plot, this is another one of my personal favorites. Prince of Heart, Rise Up. Let's see where that is in the video. That would be 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 25 seconds. I'm excited to watch this one again. Alright, no spoilers, but, I mean, looking at the flashes we got left, this might be the last great Homestuck flash for me. Like, there are still good ones in here, but great in terms of, like, I remember them vividly, and, like, every scene of them specifically. This might be the last one. For me, it's here, alright? This is basically where Dirk becomes the main character for a while, and thankfully it's placed in the story before I start hating Jake. So his part of this flash also doesn't feel particularly wasted time, let's say. And even looking back, as someone who doesn't like Jake at all, he's just getting beat up the whole time, so what can I say? I think it's really brilliantly done between Dirk doing something very important but visually mundane, just basically flying from one half of Dirk to the other to put a head on a spike, with Jake and Dirkbot doing something visually interesting but story-wise basically irrelevant, right? It's like perfectly cut between those two. The music is very good. The part where the music cuts out completely and then swing with the spear, that's, you know, that's all I need in life. And the reference to descend, or I think that's what it is. Is it ascend or descend? I think it's ascend. With the music when the Condess is showing up and telling Diamond's Droog what to do. I caught it. I knew it. Very nice. Anyway, hopefully no complaints on that one. Alright, next is Jane Enter. Where's that in here? Whoops, I scrolled right past it. 2 hours, 11 minutes, 36 seconds. Let's do it. Okay, so in terms of enter flashes, the actual entering part for Jane, very underwhelming. But it does show, you know, the Condess's takeover, which is cool. Is it that cool, though? I don't know if it's that cool. It's like top of C tier cool. Because again, we don't really see, we just get like fades between thing happening and thing being a thing now. Like, oh, this is what it used to look like. This is what it looked like now. Look, Sweet Bro Hella Jeff movie billboard underwater. You know? I think if we saw the process a little bit more, like we saw the Condess's either like robots or whatever she was using, I don't remember at that point if it was like mutants or robots or carapations or whatever. If we saw them like take over Jane's neighborhood before she entered and she had to like escape them or something, that'd be crazy. That'd be cool, probably. But not really. Jane just kind of like, her house disappears, the Condess's ship flies over, and then it's like, and then later it was water. So, you know. Next, Vriska and the Horses. It's very atmospheric and moody. I do remember this one fairly well because there's not that much to it. It's like kind of the same as the Homestuck intro, but it's Vriska and Horses, which is, I guess, a little bit funnier. Sure. Diamond's Droog ascend more casually. I do remember this one vaguely. I would like to watch it again. Where are we? Where are we? It's gotta be past Jane Enters, so ascend more casually. 2 hours, 18 minutes, 28 seconds. So let's watch that. Am I right in describing this as basically like a canon AMV? It really feels like someone like going in after the fact and picking out a bunch of scenes that fit the lyrics of this song, you know what I mean? I don't dislike it for that reason, but that's exactly what it feels like. It's kind of a meme. I mean, like, we got, like, Equius drinking milk and, I don't know. That kind of stuff. So it's a little hard to rank. But it's definitely above this. I think it's, like, around this area. So I'll put it here. That feels right to me. Okay. Next is... Who? Who is that? It looks like Jerry. that can't be it. Terry. Fast forward to live. Well, no wonder I thought it was Jerry. It basically is. I have no idea what this one is. Okay, it's just a meme. I mean, technically it explains how the bunny went from the Alpha universe all the way to the Beta universe and then to the Green Sun's explosion killing it. But, yeah, it's a meme, basically. Is it a better meme than Cantown? That's the question. I would say no, personally. I mean, like, I like Liv Tyler as a plot device. Cute little friend that kind of represents the friendship of the Beta kids. Because it's, you know, parts from all the bunnies. But, like, put the bunny in the box is way funnier. And John, reunite with your loving wife and child is funnier than that. So, this is like tier 3 funny in terms of Liv Tyler memes. Yikes. Alright, next up is Dirk something. I think this is the one that people like, that I'm just meh on. Dirk Unite, right? Is that what it is? Yeah, Dirk Unite. That would be at 2 hours, 26 minutes, 35 seconds in the video. Feels kind of weird to watch that on its own, like without the one that comes right before it. Yeah, it's okay. Is it impressive that Dirk is able to do all of this stuff? Yes. Is it that interesting to watch? Not really, in my opinion. It's still above, like, a bunch of stuff. I would say it's probably here. In terms of, yes, it is plot relevant, and it is more visually interesting than John Take a Bite of the Apple, obviously, coming way later in the comic. But in terms of, like, actual, like, cool visuals and stuff, I think 5 times Strife combo or Showdown combo is cooler. So that's where you go. Sorry. I do feel a little bit weird that it was just Unite. I feel like Synchronized should also be a part of that, but it's not on the list. Sorry. Next is Caliborn Enter. I have a feeling I'm not going to give a shit about this one, unfortunately. This is from the era of Caliborn where I did not care about him at all. So it's not a good sign. Caliborn Enter. 2 hours, 28 minutes, 18 seconds in the video. Okay, so yeah, it's cool, I guess. I feel kind of bad. It's like here, probably. A lot of B's recently. That's kind of how it goes. I think there's definitely some cool moments. All right, Lord English blows up a dream bubble, and it's the first time we see sort of like the outer ring crack or whatever. There's that moment where the 2 dogs, like Bec Noir and Male Lady, look at each other where they're like, what the fuck is that? That's pretty good. Also, the fact that, when Caliborn bites his own leg off, that's pretty metal as well. I kind of like that scene, the way it's silhouetted and all that. The fact that the sprite becomes a black hole and then it turns into the swirl, the red swirl. All very clever, but I don't know if it's, like, you know, comparable to some of the cool imagery in everything that's above this. And that does include reunite with your living wife and child. I mean, what's a cooler image than John air guitar? Right? Anyway. Next is Act 6, Act 4, I think that's what that says. We're closing in on the ones that I definitely remember. Like, I'm pretty sure from here forward, I remember them. Technically, I remember this one too, but I didn't actually get to... Oh, that's Game Over. Oh, never mind. I do remember Game Over then. I thought that was something to do with Caliborn's DeviantArt arc, which didn't actually make it into the reaction series because I lost that footage. And I guess it's coming off of that, so, you know. But I do remember Game Over. So it's just these 3 that I want to take another look at before I can just rank, you know? Okay. Act 6, Act 4. Act 6, Act 4. 2 hours, 37 minutes, 22 seconds into the video. Let's watch. Okay. It's like glorified catch-up for the Alpha Kids, because basically everything that they did was off-screen in their sessions. Is it cooler than Jane Enter? Also, I don't think Jane Enter is above WV Rise Up. Looking back on it, I was being a little generous because I didn't want to be mean-spirited, but unfortunately we're at that point. Doesn't help that I've been doing this for so long now. I mean, it is better, surely, than Jasper's. And I think it's probably better than Ascend. It's like there. That feels right. Now this is Act 6 Intermission 1. This is like right before Game Over. It's like 23 seconds long. I'm not even going to pause the video. Click the link to go to the original page. Is this the right one? No, that... Is it? I think it is. Yeah, because next is Game Over. This is the page, I guess, where Kanaya's buying blood. That's bottom of the list. I'm so confused because that doesn't line up with the thumbnail. Is it this one? It's just named wrong? No, because that's this one. So is it Act 6 Intermission 5? Is that why? Okay. Maybe that's why. Yes, I think it is. Okay. Act 6 Intermission 5. 2 hours, 52 minutes, 33 seconds into the video. Let's see, I guess. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. I'd like to call this Flash John plays cards so hard he makes everyone appear. It's another joke one. It's basically bringing back a bunch of long-running jokes, like Con Air is in there. The little Ghostbusters kiddie ride is in there. There's he plays solitaire for some reason. Yeah, it's better than Frisco Horse, I think. Honestly, it's kind of like tied with Jasper's in terms of comedy for me. Because just like Rose's little baby face and Jasper's being a dead cat in a suit. I know, there's something comedic about that, even though I know it's scarring for her. But I think I think this one's funnier. And it actually has story weight, whereas this one's just literally saying like, oh, isn't the story so boring? Haven't you been waiting for everybody to show up? Haha, they showed up. Yeah, so that's sure something. Okay, so Act 6 Intermission 1 is actually this. No, actually, it's Act 6. No, yeah, that is Intermission 1. So there's something else as well. But, okay, it's at 2 hours, 56 minutes, 41 seconds of the video. This is the last one that I need to watch, but I will watch. Okay, so this one gets intentionally cut off, which is kind of sad, because I feel like this could have actually had potential of being cool. But as it stands, it's basically just Jade standing on the edge of a meteor going, "Rah!" And that's basically it. Some cool visuals. It's like here tier, probably. Is it better than Flip? I think it's better than Flip. It's probably better than this. It's like here. All right, game over. I think game over is cool. I think it goes like here, personally. There's some really cool elements to game over. There are also some really lame elements to game over, like people just falling in lava left and right. And, you know, like, I feel like the lead up to game over was way more cool than the actual cutscene itself in some ways, like Arania slowly building up her plan and all of that. This is still one of my favorite moments from Act 6, I think, in total. But in terms of, like, visceral, I mean, it's hard to beat Make or Pay. So yeah, that's probably where I'd put it. John does the windy thing. He actually completes his quest. This is cool. But as far as I remember, it's mostly just like an atmospheric sort of thing. It's nothing like groundbreaking. It's like here, I think. MSPA reader mental breakdown. This is when the little cow thing gets fully revealed. Although I think mostly everybody would have probably known about it being a big deal by then. And there's like Saw music that I had to get rid of in the video. It's fine. It's like at bottom of B tier feels perfect for it. You know, that feels about right. Okay, I do believe this is the retcon one, where we kind of like go back through everything that's happened after John does the retcon if Vriska was alive on the meteor. Mixed feelings on this one. Art-wise and music-wise, very good. Plot-wise, I got some questions about if this was the best idea. Still, I think it gets A tier. It probably gets like here. That's what I think. Seer of Mind, Terezi doing the big thing, and then meeting back up with Fishka, who's the Vriska that she killed. This is cool. Like I said in the episode, I just wish these two got a little bit more focus if they were going to be such a big deal at the end. Like, obviously, we know about their history, but they don't show it on screen that much. Really, the only moment is when Terezi kills Vriska. And I guess you could count the moment where from miles away she's doing a Star Wars Episode 2 or whatever. I think it was Episode 2 where this happens. Where she's sending Tavros... No, what? How does the double reach around work? She's sending Tavros to send a dragon to send Terezi to look at the sun or something like that. There's like 5 steps to it or something. It's not that many, but you know, from like miles away. If you count that as a Terezi and Vriska moment, then sure. You know, it's just hurts me that it's basically all off screen and said through this one particular flash. It is nice. Again, visuals and music, very good. It's like here, I think, because I think I like the visuals and music in this one better. That's like the only reason. Okay. I'm kind of confused what the difference is between these two. One of these is this is the cutscene for when the world gets made, I think. That's what it is. This is the final battle, the like collide. This is the new universe gets made, and then this is the epilogue. Collide, for me... Obviously, everything is happening. I've kind of broken down... like, the episode just came out as time has gone on. It's not true, but where we're at right now, it has just come out. So if you really want to know my deep thoughts on Collide, you can just, like, scroll a little bit down my YouTube page and you'll be able to find the video. Overall, I think it's cool. But I'm a little confused about some of the stuff that goes on in it. And not in the way that, like, I didn't understand what was happening a little bit when I watched it, but, like, why was that the specific decision? And I'll stand by it, you know? I'm going to stand by it because people have told me, like, oh, well, obviously the big one, okay, that people have talked to me about in the comments of that video. It's like Roxy killing the Condesce makes total sense because the Condesce like basically ruined her whole future. And like, you know, killed her mom and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but like you could say the same thing for like a lot of people. You know, like the Condesce also killed Jake's mom, well, Jake's grandma, but you know, through some extenuating circumstances. So like if Jake killed Lord English, or not Lord English, the Condesce, are you saying you'd be totally cool with that and it would feel satisfying? I don't know. I think just the way the plot was sort of set up, unfortunately, it kind of has to be like Roxy, or who else could even do it? Kanaya? Like those are the only two people who like have any connection to the Condesce who are fighting the Condesce, because everybody else has been segmented away into fighting somebody else. Yeah, it's a little sad. I think the most satisfying one, the most satisfying fight, I should say, is Dirk Terezi and Dave taking on Union Jack and Spade Slick, I think, right? Yeah. Where Dave has to, you know, chop off Dirk's head in order to kill them both. It's very cool. I like that one. But the rest of them, like, Mail Lady getting the final hit on Bec Noir, who was basically, like, the big bad of the first half of the story for the Beta Kids, and literally none of the Beta Kids are actually involved with taking him down in the end. Feels very strange. And then... who's even left? Oh yeah, and then Jake is just killing the Felt, so I guess that's something. And Karkat gets to bonk the lucky guy on the head, which people also told me in the comments is like, whoa, it's crazy. If I could have even possibly remembered at that point that he was the lucky guy that was supposed to be unkillable, maybe I would have been like, oh, good for you, Karkat, but that would be the extent of it. Yeah, and then there's no closure to the Lord English fight, which is intentional, but also isn't satisfying, you know? So, all that said, I think the Lord English introduction is better than the Lord English, like, battle, you know? It's a little bit sad to say, but it's true. Alright. I honestly don't remember this cutscene. It must be just like visuals, right? Because nobody talks after Collide. Well, okay, in the epilogue they do, but... So this must be Act 7, right? I'm just skipping through it really fast. Oh yeah, it's like they burn the rings. The video broke. But I remember this, okay. It's like the wrap-up. It's pretty good. I think I put it like here, because the visuals are like really good for this part. I remember that specifically. It's like a different art style, right? And that it feels very interesting. But you know how it is. And then the epilogue, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of in a lot of ways. I think I would put it here. Is that crazy to say? Obviously, a lot is being left open for the actual Homestuck epilogues and like HS2 and all the other side stuff, which I do intend to potentially get to eventually. Depending if people even still want to see that by the time I'm done Ghost Trick and Undertale Yellow. But my problems with this one specifically is that like these endings make zero sense for like 80% of the characters. I like the concept, okay, of a planet that is trolls, humans, and carapacians. It's like, oh, it's everybody together, right? Roxy and Calliope becoming seemingly rulers of the Carapacians feels really weird. Doesn't feel like she would do that, you know? Like, Roxy as a character is someone who likes to help people. Yes. But is she like a queen to people? I don't think so. You know what I mean? She's not like a... She's like a social worker more than she's like the empress or whatever. Calliope, I don't know. Maybe. But Roxy, I don't know. It feels wrong to me. John's is fine. I mean, maybe I'm just complaining about the Alpha Kids endings, okay? Jane reopening Crocker Corp feels very weird. It feels like, I think the best example I could give is it feels like in the Danganronpa anime when Makoto reopens Hope Speak Academy. Like, dude, what are you doing? That's the trauma machine. You went through that trauma machine. Why are you reopening it? Like, even if it's through, like, better means, it was opened with good means eventually, or originally in the first time. Like, that's just gonna go wrong. And I think it could totally be solved if she just called it Jane Corp. Could have the same logo and everything, like the spoon, like Betty Crocker's, except now she's taking it for herself instead of it being related to, you know, the Batter Witch and all of that. And then Dirk being seemingly an employee of Jake's company feels just so bad. It feels like a very weird power dynamic between them, because Dirk is like so apologetic about what happened with Jake and their relationship that it really feels like Jake is unintentionally taking advantage of Dirk's like self criticism. Like, I don't know. His complex around the whole situation. I don't like that, okay? Vriska, Aradia, Solix, Mina just disappear into the void and are never seen again. Presumably, Terezi spends, like, years searching for Vriska with no results, which feels terrible for that to be her ending. And then, honestly, I don't even remember what Karkat's doing. What does Karkat end up doing? I know that Rose and Kanaya end up being, like, troll matriarchs. That was actually foreshadowed throughout the story and makes sense. And sort of the same way of, like, John just wanting to live in his house is sort of foreshadowed and makes sense. I like that, too. What the hell was Dave doing? Do we even see much about Dave? I mean, he time traveled them all there, which is cool. I don't know. The ones that I remembered specifically for the purposes of this is the ones I didn't like, I guess. So let me just pull it up really quick. Homestuck, Snapchat, credits. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Let me just see what the endings are for some of these characters. Okay, well, Jade and Karkat apparently are just hanging around. Okay, so Jade, Dave, and Karkat are all just kind of bumming around. That also feels fairly in character for them. To just like hang out and do stuff in the same way it does feel right for John as well. So it's like kind of like a 30-70 in terms of ones I like versus ones I dislike. Unfortunately, the 70 is the ones I dislike. I like John, Dave, Karkat, Jade, I guess, and who's the last one? I knew it. Oh, come on. John, Dave, Jade, Karkat. Oh, and Kanaya and Rose. So that's 7. And I dislike Roxy, Jake, Jane, Dirk, Terezi, Vriska, Mina. I guess Tavros, technically. Aradia and Solix are also kind of technically. So it's like 7 to 10. So it's not as wide a margin as I thought, okay? But, you know, I don't know. And I'm sure a lot of this gets developed in the epilogues or whatever, so it feels kind of stupid to even comment on them right now. But in terms of this as credits, I don't know. The Terezi thing especially, because you guys know I love Terezi. That being her ending feels so heartbreakingly sad. Because, like, you're your own person, Terezi. You can live your own life away from Vriska. If she, you know, cursed herself to oblivion, that's her problem. I don't know. It just feels bad. But that's the end of the video. This was long and arduous, so if you know, give a like and subscribe, I would appreciate it. Maybe leave a comment with your top 5 from this list. I know there are obviously a lot more flashes that you could add in here that might be your favorite. Maybe it got left out entirely. So let me know about that. And yeah, I'm gonna go to bed now. Okay, bye.